What is up, nerds? Welcome back to episode 34 of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I am your host, Lewis, with Pickleball Pursuit, here with my co-host, Justin. My man, he's officially only Pickleball, etc. How you been, man?
Oh, yeah. I guess we could touch on that briefly,
Yeah.
but we don't have to.
Yeah.
Good, dude. It feels like it's been forever. Anytime we skip a week now,
Yeah.
it feels like
We've been gone.
Like, do we even do this anymore or what? Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, before we go too far, we got to make sure that we give a shout out to our title sponsor, which is PB Vision. If you guys are not aware, PB Vision is an AI-driven tool where you can upload your pickleball gameplay. It will analyze it, show you all the statistics and every shot that you hit, as well as all the players on the court, and really gives you a ton of insight on how you can improve your game or just things that are, consistent trends to watch out for. So if you sign up with the link in the description, you will get 15 bonus credits when signing up for the PB Vision Premium. So we don't have any graphics today, but I did have a little story about PB Vision with a couple of guys I was playing with. Louie and I, which we'll talk about later, were playing pickleball, and I uploaded our games to PB Vision and shared them with them, and they were like, holy shit, this is really good. We were like, we thought you were just like, it was a sponsor, and it's pretty amazing. I was like, yeah, it's legit. Justin and I are not going to get somebody who we don't believe in to sponsor our podcast. So it was funny to see their reaction. Pretty much every single person I've ever sent it to has been like, this is super cool. Which is, if you've never had any, analytical gameplay, or you've done any like gameplay analysis, man, this is going to blow your mind. So lots of really good stuff. You can get super granular and kind of pick specific shots or see the stats for the games. But PB Vision, thank you guys for sponsoring the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. Again, link in the description will give you 15 bonus credits for PB Vision Premium. So, yeah, man. So you're officially full-time, dude. That's amazing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out how to say this, right? Because that's the go-to, to say like, oh, I'm now full-time. But as in full-time pickleball consulting through my company, Pickleball, etc.
Yeah.
When in reality, I've been doing this essentially full-time, if you want to count the hours, basically since September or October.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a corporate kind of day job, if you want to call it that, for the last 10 years.
Nerd.
And I was able to put in my resignation, and my last day was last week. So
he's a free man.
It's kind of surreal. This is, now Pickleball, etc. is my only, occupation.
That's right.
Which is pretty cool. I feel extremely lucky and grateful, and just like, it takes a village, so to say. Man. Like my wife has been super supportive and, allowed me to do that. And it's, and then I have you. Yeah. To thank.
You got a sugar mama and a sugar daddy.
But, I'm looking forward to it. And we'll see, this next year should be very interesting. A lot of hustling.
Give Justin some congratulatory comments in the comment section below. He deserves it. Great guy. Happy to have him here. Don't know what I'd do without you. You're the love of my life. Anyway, last week we did not, do the podcast because I was in Las Vegas for the Joola event, which was unbelievably fun, shockingly. I thought it was going to feel a little more like work and, but the combination of great people as well as the team at Joola, this is the thing that shocked me the most. The team at Joola was like so like down to earth, so nice. They talked to literally everyone. Like no one was trying to like, big league anybody. Everybody was super friendly, and you could tell that they had the right mindset about, building a community around pickleball and doing more than just creating paddles, which was very, very cool. So lots of things happened. Justin unfortunately did not get to go, but
I had some serious FOMO.
Yeah.
But
now you know how I felt like in Dallas.
I was gonna say last week was my last week at my 10-year job. I couldn't be like, oh, hey, I know my last day is this day, but I need to take 2 days off right before,
Peace out.
It just didn't work out. But yeah, did you miss me or what?
Oh, I missed you big time, man. I cried every night. And, I looked at your picture longingly and had it.
Just wishing I was there.
Yeah, on my bedside table. So, but yeah, no, it was really cool meeting everybody. Met virtually every reviewer minus a couple. Played games with everybody. Shockingly, Chris, he's just as nice of a guy in person as he is online. Isaac is actually very nice. Isaac was one of the people I probably got along with best. Him and David and Chris. Really everybody. I take that back. I had a great time with everybody. It was very fun. Lots of really good players. BK, Pickleball, dude's a dog. He has the nastiest backhand slice. Like, it's insane. You think, like, anytime somebody hits you, like, a really good slice return and you have to, like, really lift it, no. This dude, like, 30 times the amount of RPMs. I would love to see.
I saw some of the gameplay videos. Everybody just dumps him into the net every time.
Yeah, I got 1 or 2 over, but that was just because he was like, oh, yeah, he sliced it. And he saw that it was going to me. He was like, Lewis is not going to get this. So I just like hit like a big looping drive and got it in like twice. Best day of my life. Also got fully aced by Isaac. But yeah, lots of really good players, man. Had fun. And the paddles, they're pretty damn good too. So small iterative
speaking of the gameplay,
improvements.
go ahead. Before you go to the paddles, I just want to talk about the gameplay. Because I got to play with all those guys, a lot of them in Dallas when you weren't there. And I got to give Chris his flowers, dude. He's now gotten the best of both of us in different ways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because when I was in Dallas, I thought, I was like, I'm good at Ernie. So, like, we're about to go play casually for a couple hours. And I was like, Chris, let's make a bet so you can get the most Ernies. It wasn't close. He got like 9, and I had like 2.
Damn.
So he crushed me on that. And then, but yours was worse.
Yeah.
Then that body bag that he got on you was hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty good. In front of Andre Agassi. Oh, man, how did I forget about this? Dude, Andre Agassi walks in, and everybody's freaking out. Braden looks like he's about to pee his pants. David from Tickle My Pickle is hyperventilating. Everybody's freaking out, and I'm just like, I didn't play tennis growing up. I barely watched any tennis growing up. This is just like... I feel
who's this guy?
Yeah, I feel almost like embarrassed to be here, spoiled to be here, like undeservedly. And no, everybody was like kind of scared to play him. So like, I just walked over there. I was like, okay, I'll play Andre Agassi. And I was like, Andre, I just want to let you know, I kind of suck at pickleball. So like, take it easy on me. And me and David were playing him and Chris. And that was the game. Chris body bagged me. David, it was hilarious. He was so nervous at the beginning. I was like, David, you got this, bro. And then, of course, as soon as he gets his jitters out, the ups and downs of Lewis's game went straight down. And
that's how it works, dude. We know that too well.
I blew it, yeah. I absolutely blew it for you.
Let me ask you this. David. I want to ask you about Andre. Because, he's like in his 60s, late 50s, something like that?
I think he's,
somewhere around there.
Late 50s.
Late 50s, early 60s, somewhere around there. Sorry, Andre, if I'm making you older than you are, but
he's a young man.
But that is an example of like an elite athlete, top of the world in a very athletic thing. So, was it like kind of shocking that he could be sort of in his 60s and just casually trying and the stuff that he could pull off?
Yeah,
like you hear everybody talking about like, where is he generating this power from? It looks so casual, but like once you're playing against it. All the reviewers were saying like it was kind of that he kept like surprising people with his power and stuff. And I wonder how much of that comes from just kind of like being that different breed. That's like a level above when you're like a world-class elite athlete, even if it is 20, 30 years later,
It wasn't even the power for me. I have like kind of a different take on it. Like the thing that surprised me the most about Agassi was how smooth and fluid he was. Everything was in control. And you could just tell he has years and years and years of good footwork habits built in to where he is almost at all times in control of his body and whatnot. And that is super important at high level pickleball. You know, you don't ever want to, nobody, like you said a couple of episodes ago, it's like nobody who's good has bad footwork, you know, like it's just not a thing. But yeah, seeing him move and be so fluid and calm, and his 2-hand backhand drives were legit, even though he dumped a couple in the net against us. But the ones he got over, I was like, that's pretty solid. But he's a legit player, like 4 or 5 minimum, like at the very minimum. Bad day.
Well, now he made an impression on you because
Yeah.
you sent me a couple pictures and you're trying to emulate his 90s style now.
Yeah. Dude had
pretty soon we're going to see you in the jorts and a mullet.
The best drip. Man, unreal. I would kill for those.
Yeah,
I even told him, I was like, hey, dude, you and Joola should do some, retro throwback clothing. Joola, if you're watching this, take my money. Let's do it. Yeah. Some jorts and a blocky sweater. Dude, let's fricking it. Or sweatshirt. That'd be so sick. But yeah, man. Really had a great time. Thank you so much to Joola. We'll talk more about the paddles in just a second. Really appreciate everybody being so friendly and fun to play with. I would name everybody's names, but I would probably forget somebody. So you know who you guys are. Had a great time. It was really fun. So yeah, Pro 4s, man. They are here. Got the Perseus 16 right here. I did a quick little first look video on these, so if you want to go check that out, you can, but I'll probably say virtually everything I said in there on this podcast, so no need to click away. But I went home with the Perseus 14 and 16. Those will be the first 2 shapes available for you to purchase and receive. All the other shapes will be for sale. However, they'll be for pre-order and won't ship till April. I got to play with the Scorpius 14, the Perseus 14 and 16. And I mean, unsurprisingly, I thought the Scorpius was significantly better just because, that's my preferred shape. Elongated is about...
What about the Agassi shape?
The Agassi shape was interesting.
So for people who don't know, it's a new elongated shape designed by Agassi.
Sorry.
Do you have one?
Yep. This is
cool.
Edge, which is the Gen 2 version, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. But that's the shape. Yeah. And it'll come in the Pro 4 in that shape also.
Correct. Yeah. The Pro 4 will be the same, propulsion core design. So, yep.
So what do you think of that shape? Because it's an elongated shape, right? It's just kind of got a different throat and taper on the sides.
Yeah. It's a little shorter than the Perseus, which is also, let me measure it real quick, which is, a fairly short paddle in its own right. It's 16.4, so it's not quite a full...
Viewers...
16.5.
I need you guys to recognize what's happening right now.
16.4.
This is my influence on Lewis. You see this? The man has a tape measure at the ready.
Yeah. So both of these are 16.4 inches. I guess that's just the way this is looking. It looks a little shorter. But anyway, this is not my shape at all. However, I played suitable with it, like perfectly fine. It wasn't like I was struggling with it. Actually, weirdly, had more mishits with the Perseus than I did with the Agassi, but I played more games with the Perseus shape.
Looking at the Agassi shape, it kind of strikes me as maybe it would have touch less stability and a higher balance point, so more plow through.
Yes.
If I'm guessing.
What's weird is I can measure the balance point, but to me it felt like the balance point was a little lower on this, but this is actually, it wouldn't be a fair comparison.
Look
because
at this,
is
dude.
the Gen 2. But
do you have one of those rulers on the edge of your desk?
Yeah, bro, right here. You can see it.
I can't see that, but
you can see it on some of my videos.
Viewers, again, look, here's my influence on Lewis. This is me rubbing off on you. So
look, I do nerd out a little bit. I just don't like to talk about it because it's really embarrassing.
He missed it.
Yeah. So yeah, Agassi shape. Yeah, I think it's worthy. I don't think it's like a shape I would say avoid. If you like the design, it doesn't really play that much different compared to a traditional elongated shape paddle. I didn't feel like the drop off in stability was super noticeable, just because typically those shapes don't really lend themselves to be super forgiving or stable. But the Pro 4s are going to be very similar to the 3S, extremely similar. They do have a new piece of technology which we can't talk about, but it is called the Tech Flex Power, which is some new technology that they've added to the core that will enhance its playability. If you want to compare this to the 3S Power Pop, very, very, very similar. So top tier power paddle. Spin, similar. The only real noticeable differences are the feel. I think the Pro 4s feel noticeably better, and they have more stability. And lastly, and most importantly, they have lower swing weights but higher twist weights. So at least on both of my models. So I mean, people are gonna be like, "Oh, they didn't change much. Or they didn't change much," but they literally made one of the best, probably the top 2 power paddles better. Like,
yeah,
you know.
Well, here's the burning question, and I'm pretty sure this was addressed. There was never really any like doubt about the playability of the YOLO 3S and saying like it's good. And I think the question marks are more around the durability. Of course, the 3S was far better durability than the mod or the original Gen 3.
Yeah.
But even still, anecdotally, I would say the durability of the 3S not ideal, with their version of the propulsion core. So I wasn't at the YOLO event, but my hope would be that whatever iterative improvements they made for the Pro 4 addresses the durability concerns. If you could keep the same playability and build in more durability, then that would be a good thing.
Yeah, and that was a huge touching point that they stressed throughout their presentation. Durability was a very, very common theme, and creating paddles that were more durable was something that they were very adamant about saying that they were doing. So
specifically the core.
Yeah, and they had 3 versions of the Perseus that we could hit. A brand new one that had 1,000 PB core balls shot at it, and then one that had 10,000 hits on the slapper, that we've seen Rhombus show. So all of those, they showed us cut open to prove that they did not have any core crushing issues or, core corruption. So promising stuff. I think this is going to be a super popular paddle. If you are somebody who really liked the mod, this is an absolute no-brainer. Like, there's just nothing is going to feel even remotely close to the mod. Just
and
in terms
already
of feel. Yeah.
PB Core approved.
Yeah, PB Core approved, USAP and UPA dual certified.
The Perseus.
Yeah, they will also have the UPA version only. So if you only play in PPA tournaments or like local tournaments that don't need USA approval, you can buy that and it'll have a grittier face. So get a little bit extra spin, hopefully, in theory. And then, intriguingly, the 3S will go down in price. So honestly, if you don't want to spend $280, that might be a really good paddle to look at. They're not too drastically different that I would say one is so much better than the other that it warrants, the extra, $40? So, yeah, but we'll talk more about that in the full review. Promising stuff from Joola. Really had a great time. Any other questions before we move on, Justin?
No.
Sweet. All right, man. We're going to talk about some paddles, and then we're going to move into some other good stuff. So, man, I've been playing a ton with the C45, and annoyingly, I've really been enjoying it. Finally got my setup pretty good. I had to use those pre-cut lead. I got 4.5 grams right here on each side. And then I put a flick weight, counterbalance 9 gram weight in the butt cap. So
that's all the weight you have on there?
That's it, dude. That's probably will add a little bit more in the throat. But man, I don't know what it is about this paddle. It kind of pisses me off how much I like it. Because it's like, it is elongated width, but hybrid length. So, you know how much of a head case I am, and I think about stuff like that. That kind of bothers me. But
I notice it, by the way. I'll talk about it a little bit more later.
Yeah. Now, it's not as forgiving as, are stable, as the Invader, but what it does differently than the Invader is it's the closest feeling paddle to the Flare Prime X in my testing. Now, they're not a like for like, comparison, but the feel that you get off the face with this and the feel that you get off the Flare Prime X are fairly similar. Slightly different, but fairly similar, and the way that the ball jumps off the face feels very similar as well. So both pretty poppy and powerful paddles. I would say this is like the tip of the spear of all court. Would not put it in power paddle, but Justin,
really,
you would say power would definitely be its category.
I think it's more powerful than the Flare Prime X, personally. The pop may be the same, but I think it's more okay, at least with my weight setup.
Yeah.
Which I have both of those paddles weighted to like 8.2, 8.3 ounces, which is a lot of weight on the Franklin because it starts so light. But yeah, weighted similarly, I feel like the Franklin is more powerful. What about, and you talk about the feel. I felt like I had a perfect little comparison.
8.6.
Last week. Oh, wow, so yours even heavy. It's a lot of that is in the butt cap, of course, for you.
Yeah, 9.
I have none on the butt. So what about this comparison? I said it feels like a mix between like a Paddletech 14.3, has like that Gen 1 kind of squishy feel, and the Olympus, because it has that like poppy shoot off the face, a little bit foam enhanced feel.
I remember you saying that a couple episodes ago. I need to get my hands on the Olympus again. But yeah, that would probably make sense.
The maneuverability reminds me of the Olympus.
The maneuverability on this is crazy. Like truly crazy.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
But yeah, I really like this paddle. I've been playing quite a bit with it, so it's been holding up. Like there's no issues with the core. I had 2
questions for you.
Has yours broken in and or broken?
That was my follow-up question. Has yours changed?
No.
How many hours do you have?
I probably have 9 games on this. So
9 games. So that's like 15 minutes each. That ain't really. That's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably have like 9 hours on mine.
Yeah.
And it has changed. So
has it broken?
It's not no, it's not crunching or anything, but paddle's changing like that. And it's changing in the way you'd expect. It's gotten more powerful, more poppy, a little bit softer feeling, which at face value, everyone's like, that sounds great. Right? That's exactly what I want. But man, that's got to be an indication of something.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not into it, that part of it. The other thing I noticed with it, and I think I'm just severely spoiled, but I felt like it just wasn't that top tier of spin, And it's perfectly good. The spin is like good, but I think I'm spoiled now that it's hard. Like whenever I go to a paddle that doesn't have, top tier spin, I'm like, ooh, I'm kind of missing that dip. I'm missing that dip.
When you use the Flare Prime X and then you go to virtually anything, you're like, oh, sucks to be this person.
I mean, there are a few paddles that I've been playing with recently. Honestly, the 11624 powers, the True Foam, and the Flare Prime X are all top tier spin. Yeah. So it's like going off of those to anything else, it's noticeable. For sure on serves, returns, drives, definitely.
Do we remember, is it March 5th that they're dropping this second drop for the C45s? I'll have to look it up.
I have no idea.
I'll look it up and put it on the screen. But yeah, Code Pursuit, if this is a paddle that you are interested in buying, I do think it's a pretty interesting one to check out. It is a little bit pricey at $229. But if you're kind of
I think it's a good paddle.
Yeah, if you're one of those people that likes to have a bunch of paddles and doesn't mind dropping some coin on one of these, I think it is definitely a fun paddle to, number one, play with, and a very good performer at that. So, yeah, I like this paddle, and it's kind of annoying how much I like it. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. So, all right, wanted to give you guys some updates. 008 paddle. Now, this is the Invicta 10 millimeter. And almost immediately after playing with this paddle, I'm talking like less than a game, the edge guard separated from it, which is, as Justin can kind of expand on this, likely just a factor with the glue. You kind of see the white white fading, spots on the edge guard, which indicates the glue kind of just getting all over it. But yeah, this kind of disappointingly came off extremely quick. Probably easy fix in manufacturing, I'd imagine, Justin.
Definitely an easy fix.
But just
yeah, so that's not.
say.
I mean, and Selkirk's the type of company that will just replace it if you were someone who bought it and had that issue. Yeah. So it's not something I would be particularly concerned about, especially since it's like their labs. So usually they'll probably update those before they become production. But yeah, when putting on edge guards, kind of how the industry standard has become is that there'll be essentially what is pretty much like super glue around the whole paddle face, but then also around the corners up here and then around here, there'll be a much thicker, heavier adhesive. We're talking about on thermoform paddles, so they're gluing to a flat surface. And it's kind of like almost like white construction adhesive. If you're used to that, it would come out of like a caulk gun. It's what it seems like, and it's very strong. And it makes sense because the corners are the parts that stress the TPU the most as it's bending. But so that leaves this area where you just pulled, kind of middle of the face, and sometimes even down here randomly. These can be the areas that'll oftentimes come loose because they don't have the heavier adhesive. But then you can kind of feel, even if it comes loose, it's really tightly bonded around the corners. So it's not, you can't like pull it off the corner. Anyway, all that to say is it is an easy fix, and most companies will take care of you and, give you a replacement for that type of thing. And it's also the type of thing that if you feel handy enough, you can just buy some glue, some adhesive, and, some of the glues come with a little kind of syringe applicator. You can put it under there and just put it back on and tape it and fix it yourself.
Nice.
That doesn't concern me. With the 008, I didn't have this happen to me personally, but I'm sure you've heard this a lot. There's quite a bit of reportings of disbonding. Mm-hmm. So, these newer foam cores, they can't crush in the same way that honeycomb can crush. But the kind of concern goes back to what was more of a concern back in the old days with Gen 1s and stuff, is disbonding, which means like the actual face can come unglued. And then there'll be, maybe it only comes unglued in certain parts. So when you hit the ball here, it's like super dead and it feels normal here. Or, it might feel dead and super loud all over. And just a quick thing on this, we were kind of talking about this a little bit online, is this, it's one of the manufacturing challenges with these new full foam paddles, because this is just coincidentally, but it's a bit of a catch-22 because the foams that have a high compressive strength to weight ratio are kind of ideal to use as a core, right? Because it doesn't make the paddle too heavy and it has all the strength properties that you want. A lot of those exact foams are also very difficult to adhere to. So that's the balancing act, is how do you get the right foam that has the right playability, the right weight, the right strength, the right deflection. And then if you get all those things, but it is difficult to bond to, now you have to figure out a solution of bonding the composite, faces, carbon fiber or fiberglass to that foam. And, hitting it over and over again is like a stress test essentially for the adhesives. We've seen even disbonding a little bit with some of the true foams, same situation. Just like I said, foam is a little bit more difficult to adhere to than the traditional honeycomb. Like the honeycomb cores have adhesion sheets on top of them, basically made to glue to panels. People have been making sandwich panels with honeycomb cores for decades. So they've kind of figured out that problem. Whereas in foam, we might have some early adopter issues where some of the first brands to go full foam, I think this would be what we'll see in the beginning, is now you don't have to deal with core crush, but you got to keep an eye out for disbonding.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I think it'll be a thing that gets worked out and gets fixed in the same way that we had to learn what core corruption was when Gen 2 was first around and it was happening so much. And then as more and more companies figured it out, it happens less and less. It's just a manufacturing education thing that we'll kind of get through.
Yeah.
Anyway, random.
Well, sweet. Yeah. We just want to give you an update on that. Finally, the exceptionally good budget paddles from Spartus.
Oh, yeah, I was just showing these.
The Odyssey and the Orion have been released. So if you're looking for a budget-friendly paddle, I think these are $80 right now. I'll leave a link in the description where you can purchase these. They're also selling them on their website too, right?
Yeah, I believe
Yeah,
so. And
yeah.
and what we couldn't say on the last pod that we can say
Yes.
now is that these are being sold on Amazon.
Yeah. For $80
So,
after code.
Yeah, $80 is like just obviously value is a huge part of the equation for any paddle. And as soon as you say $80, I mean, I feel like these are very near the top of the list, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And fully molded handle, which I'm happy with. The handle circumference is like
Still need to hit that
4.25
right.
inches rather than 4.125. So me personally, I like to take off the stop grip and put on one overgrip, and then you can feel the bevels perfectly. Very nice. Long handle on the Orion, very long. So if this is an elongated shape and you like tuies, go for this one. If you don't care as much about handle length and you want a little bit more control and a softer feel, then go for the Odyssey, which is a hybrid with a shorter handle, maybe in the J2 range, kind of.
Yeah.
That's how it feels because the throat gets quite wide, quite quick.
Enough to put a second handle on there. It's not like, it's kind of like the J2. It's like, it's not the best in terms of the handle shape, but it's doable.
You can do it. It's just not comfortable.
Yeah.
Unless you have small hands, then it's fine.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Really solid paddles for the price. I think these will be pretty popular. You know, I think you'll see a lot of these for people's second paddle, that they finally upgrade to an actual real high performing or,
Yeah,
premium
this is
paddle.
definitely better than like other Amazon paddles.
Yes. Yeah.
And it competes well with the other paddles at its price range,
Yep.
around the $90 range. If you consider every paddle that's $80 to $90, what are they? The Vedic Prisms, the Chorus Echo, the 11624 Jelly Beans, and the Spartus, the Spartus Apex series. Now, I know there are a lot more. I'm just saying those are the very reputable ones that you can 100% recommend, and with no doubt about the performance.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. All right. We're going to move on to some GRUVN paddles and a backpack that I used when traveling that I'd like to talk about. So GRUVN just dropped their CRUZN lineup. Basically every shape, right?
yeah. So,
Yeah.
I had this basically Kevin from GRUVN, he sent out a letter that basically explains what they are. GRUVN has always had like a Gen 1 lineup. They called it their raw paddles, and they've had those for a long time, but the handles on the thicker versions were a little bit blocky, and also now everyone says raw carbon fiber, so maybe the raw name wasn't standing out as much. So they actually updated their control line to be the CRUZ, what we had recently, which were Gen 1.5s. And apparently the feedback was those are still a little bit too powerful to be like control paddles. So he tested some other options and landed here with the GRUVN CRUZN, which is back to Gen 1, but that's what the testers liked. And we got a bunch of different shapes. I want to show something kind of funny real quick.
This is
this is the 16S. This is just like a standard shape.
Yeah.
This is a nice shape. I actually used the 13S for a while. Okay, here's the HD, which is their new hybrid shape, which we both really like.
Love the HD shape.
No
Very
tapered
good.
size. Handles like good enough, perfect length, and it's just very stable. Great hybrid shape. Okay, so now we get into the 3 elongated shapes. 16X, which is like traditional, I guess you might call it like the Perseus shape. Plenty of handle, right? So here's where it gets funny. Then we have the 16H, which is like the ultra long handle. This thing is almost 6 inches long. You can fit 2 hands on here. I actually really like this paddle in the the CRUZ. It's just so like whippy. It's actually similar to the Orion shape we just showed. Okay, now though, look at the 16E. Every now and then we get people asking, where are the paddles with short handles? Where are they?
There's the one.
Here it is. Also, here's what I wanted to point out.
I got the pink.
This is essentially... Oh, you got pink? Nice.
Yeah.
This is essentially 1 inch difference in handle length. So now you know how much of a difference 1 inch makes.
Guys, look at me. 1 inch. It's a lot.
Big difference.
Big time. Some would say huge.
But yeah.
The 16S updated shape and the new 16 HD shapes are very, very good shapes. So
that HD shape is awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of our favorites.
Yep. So if you're looking for some control paddles, Might want to check these out. They're $99 before code, isn't that right?
Not sure.
I think it says
it might be on this page, but
yeah,
there are, of course, yeah, it is. Yeah, $99. Sorry.
Yeah,
available mid-March. Waiting on USAP approval, but there's nothing to worry about there. They're just Gen 1 paddles, so they'll be approved. It's just that USAP is, of course, slow and behind.
Watch them score 48.
And as GRUVN always does, they have great grips and they have a ton of colors.
Yep. So yeah, if you're a GRUVN fan, want that control paddle, check those out. Coming soon. Also, the GRUVN, I think it's called the Court Backpack. I use this bad boy when I traveled to Las Vegas, and the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I was able to fit quite a bit of stuff, and it fit like fairly well underneath the the chair or the seat in front of me when flying.
Which is why you didn't take your other bags, right?
Exactly.
You were asking.
Yeah, I was going to take.
Are these too big?
I was going to take the ADV bag, of course, because that's my current main, and then I was like, the kitchen's a little smaller. Let me see. Let me ask people how that fits in there. And like, oh, wouldn't advise it. Not comfortable. You have long legs. Don't do it. So then I picked this up and I was like, oh, this is the perfect size. And I fit a crap load of stuff in there still. And it fit very well underneath the airplane seat in front of me. So great bag, holds like a substantial amount of stuff for how small it is. And for, $99, you get a couple different color options. I think it's black and that teal blue. That's teal, right?
Yeah, cyan. Yeah. I don't know.
Cyan, whatever.
Something like that.
Colors. Yeah, but solid backpack. Just wanted to kind of touch on that because I know I talked about the tour bag a couple episodes ago and said I would get around to this. Finally got to it, and yeah, I recommend it, man. So I think Code Pursuit will save you some money on any GRUVN stuff. So yeah. We're going to move on to a quick, we're going to touch on the chorus delisting very quickly. Justin, I'll kind of let you give us the details of what their statement was, and then I just want to touch on quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, so chorus fire. Look, USAP and Chorus both have official statements. You can go read those. I'm not just going to read them to you here on this, but trying to think of how to say what I could say. All right. I'm just going to, let me preface this. Okay. These are my feelings. Okay. Just from reading the statements and understanding a little bit of the process. This is my opinion. Okay. Everyone be clear.
Yeah. Not factual evidence.
Oh, dude, I'm severely disappointed. It makes me, feel sad for Chorus that this happened to them because, to be clear, and USAP said this, they did absolutely nothing wrong this entire time. They did everything right by the book and kind of got screwed. And what you'll touch on here in a second, it makes me even more disappointed in USAP. Man, it's like, I feel like they just keep taking everyone's goodwill and just like stomping on it. At every turn, I've been like kind of a USAP believer in some sense. Not that I think it's perfect and never have. I just have always given them the benefit of the doubt as much as possible and like want them to succeed because I can see the importance of what they do. And to be clear, like equipment testing and equipment approval is only part of what USAP does. They are like a valuable organization to Pickleball as a whole. However, if they are consistently screwing that part up, it's hurting their reputation as a whole. You'll say some more about this. I'm sure this is kind of your take. But here's the main thing that I feel, right? So the two new versions, the SX and the EX of the Fire, were sent in, right, for approval. And then approval was given and they were added to the approved list. Right. So you can imagine that Chorus says, okay, great. We got our new paddles. They're approved. They're on the list. They put them for sale. They start selling them. They sold them for 2 months before, they were basically shadow delisted one day. And everyone's like, what's going on? Then they were added back to the list. And this is what caused, more digging into it. And USAP finally comes out with a statement and says, actually, yeah, just a miscommunication error. We approved those without testing them. What? And this is where we'll get into maybe my feelings on it and knowing what's going on. USAP was very backlogged. They were very far behind, and there's something that you can pay for expedited testing. And at that time, brands were paying for it and weren't getting it. They were basically paying for this expedited testing and still weren't getting the testing in time. And then many brands were, of course, then upset about that and asking for refunds. And USAP is having to send those refunds. And at the media day, they were asked specifically about this. And Carl from USAP said, essentially what happened was we were so backlogged that we put in a dragnet, this is his words, for any non-standard cores, basically any cores that have foam in them or anything like that, and we prioritized those for PB core testing. Any standard core, such as the Fire, which is just a polypropylene honeycomb core, essentially got moved to the back of the line for PB core testing on purpose. They knew they were doing this. This was a strategy that they chose based on what he just said. So they said, it's a standard core, we'll put it off till later. And then they're getting pressure because they're so far behind on the expedited tests that they were paid for. They're like, just push it through. Just push it through. And a lot of this makes sense now because you'll remember us talking about how these companies were getting their paddles approved under the new PB Core system, but not getting the PB Core results. Mm-hmm. And the companies were directly asking USAP, what are the PB Core results? What are the PB Core results? You passed our paddles. What are the results? And USAP was either like just crickets, just ignoring that, or just saying like, we'll get them to you. It's all good though. We'll get them to you. It wasn't all good. They hadn't been tested. That's why they didn't have them, And then now, like in this case, they come back later and test this paddle 2 months after it's approved and be like, actually it failed our test, which is another thing to talk about, but whatever. And then just delist it. And I know that based on the statement, Chorus worked with USAP and they're working through this. And I know that, Matt from Chorus only wants a sort of a positive solution and to move on, and it's a mess. So I don't think he's going to personally complain or like drag USAP for the whole thing. But for me, we have been saying that there's been a lot of what seems like incompetence from USAP, and that's been very frustrating. This crosses a line. This is not just incompetence to me anymore. This is negligence. This is like making a choice to just pass a paddle without testing it knowingly, and then coming back later and being like, actually, and of course that has major implications on a company's business. So I'm really disappointed. And yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say, but it's also, I know there's a lot of pressure that brands feel like they can't necessarily stand up to USAP, try to hold their feet to the fire, because what are you going to do? They're the ones who have to approve your paddle. Yeah. So it's one of those situations where, the people in power, it's not that they're intentionally abusing the power, but how do you confront those in power whenever you have, no leverage, essentially?
Yeah, and they have no idea what they're doing. But, man, twofold for me. I'll be very quick. It's insane to me that the Chorus Fire failed while more powerful
into that.
Paddles did not. Not that it's not powerful. It's actually a very powerful paddle. But multiple more powerful paddles have passed. No big deal. Like, they're figuring out the tests out. But more importantly, what they did to Chorus is pretty much unforgivable, in my personal opinion. Being so incompetent, having such poor processes as to their approval process and testing process, just makes it so hard to put any trust in them. Not only, in paddle testing going forward, but as a company, as a business owner, I would have zero desire to do anything with USAP, because God knows what their approval process actually means. Even if they do approve it, you could start selling it and they could say, actually, you know what? We didn't really test this paddle like we said we did, even though we approved, your paddle, and then come back and guess what? Now you are out. You're in the hole. Every paddle that you've sold no longer is approved, and you, the owner, are the only person who has to deal with the repercussions. So Pretty annoying.
Yikes. I would say, I just want to say Matt from Chorus has been like a total class act about all this.
Yeah.
You know, I think he had every right to be very upset, and he may be very upset behind the scenes, but like everything that's been public from Chorus has been extremely professional and very classy. So I think that's awesome. That speaks to his character and how he wants the character of that company to be. And I'm, you know, curious to see, you know, what comes next, what rises from the ashes of the fire, so to say, from Chorus.
USCP, get your stuff together. All right, we will move on, man. So I can't believe I forgot to put this on the notes, but tournament update, baby.
I didn't want to talk about it.
Your boy's doing something really dumb, really stupid. I'm playing 4-5 at the Texas Open.
At a PPA. Yeah.
At a PPA.
Just to be clear, this is just how badly he didn't want to play with me, because we could have played 4-0 together, and he was like, nah.
Bro, we talked about it. We're breaking up. We're on a break, all right? We're seeing other people to see, you know, how it feels. Justin, if we didn't suck so bad together, I would play with you every day. Man, I love playing with you. One of my favorite people to play with. It's just too bad we can't.
Sounds fake to me, too.
Win. What'd you say?
What? Nothing.
Anyway, playing 4-5 at the PPA Texas Open with Louie, who his duper was too high to play 4-0. So we're going to go play 4-5, and we're going to fuck around and find out.
True.
We'll see what happens.
Hopefully more people register. There were like very few teams. I think they will, though.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're in the Texas area and you're a 4-5 player, register. We don't want to have a small, teeny tiny bracket. So excited about that, man. We're going to find out real quick if Lewis, who used to be a fake 4-0, now fake 4-5.
Well, I'll be there to cheer you on and laugh at you.
That's right. So. That's right. So yeah, if you're going to be in the Texas area on March 15th, man, come watch me play. Area. Yeah. No,
Bro doesn't understand Texas.
The McKinney area, excuse me.
Dallas, yeah.
Dallas, McKinney area. Come check us out. It'll be fun. So, all right, man. You ready to move on to everyone's favorite segment? New week, new main, baby. Sponsored by
every segment.
Bodhi Pickleball. If you are looking for any pickleball accessories like hats, sleeves, now weighted butt caps, bags, tungsten tape, grips, check out Bodhi Pickleball. You can utilize code PURSUIT for 15% off. Bodhi, thank you guys for being the sponsor of New Week, New Main. They sent me a care package. Did you get it as well?
I got some stuff. I don't know if you got the same stuff I got.
They sent me some hats. These are very melony. So if you like melon hats and you want some pickleball related merch, baby, from Bodhi Pickleball, I would check it out.
I got the little pickleball here.
Yep. Stay grippy on the back.
I will say these are very high quality. The materials feel like melon style, and you know what I really appreciate about a sports hat is that this is more sweatband type material. So this actually should do a pretty decent job. And then you got the graphics in there. But yeah, this is a very structured little melon style, I would say. Yeah.
They also now have the Slice Speed Cap branded.
Oh man, I didn't get those.
Yeah, so as you can see, these two match each other. So this butt cap or speed cap matches the edge tape. So if you are into paddle bling,
maybe I actually did.
If you're into paddle bling,
look in the box.
Check it out. Actually, it came from Slice, so that might be why. I got these yesterday, I think. So yeah, they have different designs for their speed coins, right? That's what they call them. Why am I struggling with that? But anyway, yeah.
Pretty sure they're called speed coins, yeah.
We talked about that last week. They dropped those. But yeah, very cool edge tape designs too. Like Justin said last week, if you're into paddle bling, Bodhi is one of the best companies in terms of designs and whatnot for edge guards and stuff. So
yeah, and it's appropriate. Like the actual edge tape from Bodhi, I appreciate that it is thick enough to be protective, but not so thick that it's incredibly heavy. It like finds the good middle ground. So, which not all edge tapes do. You know, some are like crazy heavy, and then some are basically just, why don't you just use electrical tape at that point? You know.
Yep. All right. Ugh. The Bodhi tour bag is here. I think it's coming in March. It's officially my new main bag. You did not switch to it, which we'll get into shortly. I did switch to it for a number of reasons. Number one, it's just easier to fit more things than the ADV bag. However, if you aren't somebody who has a ton of shit, like, it's no big deal. And most importantly, I can fit my tripod in the main compartment of this bag, which was like a huge reason why I switched. I can fit literally everything in my bag. I don't have to carry anything. Nothing's hanging out the side. Everything's, held in there. So really solid bag, premium feeling, feels like most other tour bags, but slightly thicker in terms of material than most other tour bags. In a good way. Feels a little more robust, a little more premium feeling, a little more leathery-like rather than plasticky. And what's that material all these bags are using? It's like I don't know.
What do you mean, like ripstop?
Yeah, kind of like less ripstoppy than most other ones.
Yeah, it's more thick and structured feeling than that.
Yeah,
not
in
quite
a good
to
way.
the level of kitchen. Kitchen is like the extreme level of thick and structured and heavy.
This is definitely
this is not nearly as heavy.
Yeah.
You say I'm not switching as my main bag, but essentially not as my main pickleball bag.
Yeah.
Still, the ADV backpack to me is, man, it just does everything for me. I have just zero complaints, and it's so comfortable, and it's just the right size. It's pretty big for a backpack, but it's just a backpack. But this Bodhi bag actually has become like my new travel duffel. That's what I will use it for, and I think that's perfect for that. There are backpack straps on the one side, but there's actually a big pocket that you can unzip and put the backpack straps away, and the hooks, the fence hooks and everything. And then it's just like a traditional duffel bag, big inner compartment, a shoe compartment, and then, the different compartments on the side, which they're quite large. And for me, it was actually perfect for traveling, like to have your clothes in there. You still have the shoe compartment that's separate, keep your, clothes clean. And then all the pockets on the side were perfect for all your bathroom stuff or whatever else you needed to bring. And when we went to the trip in Houston, I actually realized, I was like, oh, this is kind of perfect, because there are separate, pretty large paddle compartments. Those kind of became like my dirty clothes compartment. So it has like enough room and enough separation that I could have shoes in there, clean clothes and dirty clothes, and bathroom things and other stuff like that, all separate. So for me, it's going to become like my just main regular travel bag now.
I'm the weirdo that like packs like those grocery bags so they can put the dirty clothes in their grocery bags in the suitcase on the way home. So that's actually a really good little workaround. But yeah. All right. Well, Bodhi, thank you for sponsoring this. New bag's tight. Should be out in March. I'll let you know if we have an exact date. So be on the lookout for that. So, Justin, new week, new main, baby. What do you got? What are you maining?
All right. It's a journey.
It's a journey, baby.
Ready to go on a journey? So basically, I was done with tournaments for a while, like I said. And so I was like, okay, now I can
that I didn't ask him to play with me.
I was like, all right, now I can explore, now I can date around. I could swipe left, swipe right on some paddles and see, because I hadn't been willing to do that leading up to tournaments because I wanted to get locked in. So I had some paddles that we had tested that I was like, I would like to revisit these. And then of course there was some other newer stuff. And I was like, let me see, just let me check and see. So I'm gonna take you on my journey. All right,
let's go, baby.
First stop, Franklin C45.
Oh, so good. Love that paddle.
I have 10 inches of 1 gram per inch on either side.
Brag about
it. Still quite maneuverable and low weight. Like this paddle, the spin is not top tier, so I missed that a little bit. I kind of touched on all this. It started changing on me, and I was like, I'm out. The other thing is, I'm sad that it's this thin for a hybrid shape, because you do notice the lack of stability compared to other wider hybrid shapes. So for those reasons, I'm out. Okay. All right. Revisit Pegasus Power, getting power pegged.
Getting power pegged.
And incredible paddle. So good, actually. Nice feel. I don't think this paddle isn't good enough for me. I think I'm too trash for a power paddle. So it's a bit too much. Honestly, on defense, I was struggling. I was popping stuff up. And it's not that I don't like poppy paddles, because everyone knows I do. It's not linear to me. So I struggle. Everyone knows that. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to look at this. Maybe it's a logarithmic power curve. I mean, none of these are exact words. They're just words to communicate. But yeah, the power is not linear, so it's hard for me to predict on defense. I was popping up a lot and getting killed a lot with this. But yeah, the power pop and spin are great. The feel is great, but not for me. All right. Revisit it. Something that I mained for a little bit. Okay?
Oh, he's back.
The Carbon 2, the True Foam.
Wow.
I tried. Look, here's my main complaint with it. The handle was just a bit too short. So I kind of cheated without cheating. Since it didn't use the full allowable dimensions, because it's not quite 8 inches wide, I went ahead and extended the handle. I extended the handle a little bit, which probably is illegal in tournaments, but this is still 24 total. I was like, let's just see. So now the handle's a little longer, more comfortable. Spin is great, and the feel is unique. I couldn't get along with it. And I played in 82 degrees the other day in the heat. And I swear, dude, it was more bouncy and less stiff than it was when I was playing with it in the winter. So I don't know.
So maybe it was a little
too bouncy and unpredictable. Also, with the stats it came in with, I can't really add weight without the swing weight get too high. And I wish I had a little bit more stability. So that's a no. All right, we're still going though. All right, let's try this one. And by the way, as we get through these, I'm closer and closer. This
good looking paddle
could potentially be the main. Yeah, this is the Supercore HX Tronic colorway. Handle's great. I like this shape, and I've been playing it stock. It's kind of same situation that I wish I had a little bit more stability, but I can't add weight without the swing weight getting too high because this is already at 115. But man, I really like this paddle. This is just an all court paddle. It just does everything well, and it has a bit of a crisper, stiffer feel. So if you don't like that, not for you, but I prefer it. So this was almost the one. And I'm going to actually try the SX and see. All right. That leads me to
I thought you said something
new
else.
week. Old main.
Of course.
Dude, it can't be beat. Neonic Flare Prime X. It can't be beat.
Yeah. You just go around hanging out with these other paddles, and then you walk back home like nothing ever happened.
And I've been playing with this again, and it's just too good. I have a new weight set up. This is the new Bodhi tungsten tape, by the way. It's branded now.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you've even seen that.
Oh, really? Maybe.
Yeah, so it has BPs on it. You can kind of see them. Anyway, this is my new setup. I was wanting a little bit more plow through from this paddle, so I don't normally put weight up here around the top corners.
It is. Wow.
But yeah, I decided to add a little more on this paddle because it comes in so light. So this is all the weight I have. It basically bigger piece around. This is 0.5 gram per inch around the bottom corners, and then a smaller piece up here. This is still only 8.2 ounces, 113 swing weight, 7.6 twist weight. So super stable, plenty of pop and power. Spin is just incredible, and the feel for me, it's just. I feel like this paddle was made for me. So.
Yeah.
Can't be beat. So new week old main.
Yeah. All right. I told Justin I was going to be flirting, and the paddle I was flirting with was the C45 for new week, new main. Really, really, really like this paddle. It's annoying how much I like this paddle, but, but, dude, similarly to what I did with the Invader. Not much can pry me away from this Neonic Flare Prime X. This paddle is ridiculous. So it is new week, same mains in multiple ways this week.
Yeah, true.
So Neonic Flare Prime X.
Do you think this paddle is still underrated or no? Or do you think it's
Here's the
appropriately appreciated at this point?
Because
I know on this podcast, we clearly love it and hype it, and there are a few others, but I feel like other reviewers haven't been on the Flare Prime X train. But I also think they didn't take the time to weight it correctly because it needs weight.
Yeah, I was like, Chris, why'd why'd you like just say this paddle was mid? It's so good. And he was like, I didn't say it was mid. I'm like, yes, you did, bro.
Yeah, he
You're
pretty
like,
much did.
It's nothing.
That's how the review
special.
came off. You're like, it's great for the price.
He's like, yeah, it's a good paddle. And I was like, whatever, hater. But anyway, yeah, I would say this is still probably the most under the radar paddle. In my personal opinion, this outperforms every standard shape paddle on the market. And the fact that, it, in my opinion, and probably yours as well, it outperforms every standard shape paddle on the market, but is still not seen as like that top tier paddle is crazy to me.
I think if you are
126,
if you are
crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you are a really high level player, you can probably get more out of the ESQ 12.7. But if you're below 4.8, let's just say that, or not a perfect ball striker, then you will get way more out of the Flare
Now
5X.
listen,
that's my only caveat. But also, it's $100 more.
Louis used to use the ALW 12.7, and now he uses the Flare Prime X.
There have been so many people that I've seen, including you and I and Louis, who've converted from the ALW or ESQ to this paddle. So there's a reason for that. It's not, and that was maybe the trap that Chris fell into. It's not a better paddle tech. It just falls into the same niche in that it's a standard shape, thinner core, very light, very maneuverable, leaning power standard paddle. Right?
Way better.
But the feel is different and all that. Oh yeah. And the feel is completely different, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's not like a direct paddle tech replacement, and I think that is kind of stealing some of the shine from the Flare Prime X because it has its own unique feel that I can't find a paddle that feels necessarily better than just yet.
In their own rights.
All right, hype train.
Obviously, paddle techs are very good as well. Not downplaying those paddles. All right. Ready to move on, dude? Net Gains, baby. Welcome to Net Gains. Sponsored by Range Fit Hydration Mix.
All right. I got my strawberry kiwi.
Utilize code PURSUIT to save you some money at checkout when purchasing Range Fit. Range Fit is my personal favorite hydration mix. It has an excellent balance of the electrolytes, some of the best in terms of the balance. Why can't I speak right now? But it has some of the best numbers in terms of how many milligrams of sodium, chloride, potassium, and magnesium compared to other electrolyte mixes. It is a little bit less, a little less flavorful than others. Chris from Pickleball Studio said he bought some. And I was like, all right, how did you like it? I think it's one of the best on the market. He's like, it's good, but I'm one of those people that likes super salty electrolyte mix.
It's less salty. I wouldn't say it's less flavorful at all.
Yeah.
But it is less salty.
Yeah, it's not as like, it doesn't hit you as hard as some of those other ones, which in my personal opinion, it's better for the masses. I feel like most people's immediate turnoff with electrolyte mixes is how salty they taste. And if you are one of those people, but you do want to check out some electrolyte mixes, I think this is the perfect one to kind of enter into that electrolyte mix realm. But even if you're someone who does like the salty taste, you can just use a little bit less water on the first go around, and then boom, add a little more water, and you're right back in action. So Range Fit, thank you for sponsoring the Net Gains segment of the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. So for this week's Net Gains, we're just going to talk about what we're working on. We don't have anything specific that we want to address holistically. We're going to talk about maybe one or two things that we're working on in our game. So Justin, I'm going to let you go first, man. What you working on?
Man, I have, it would be basically the reason why we said we weren't going to do anything new is because I realized that I would just end up repeating the segments that I did previously. Because all those items that I had been coached on, essentially ready stance, getting my left hand up, and then also on the forehand dinks, actually using footwork to hit the ball in front of you rather than reaching out to the side. These are things I talked about previously. Turns out those are hard habits to change. So that's all I've still been doing, and I'm getting better and better at it. I still will have my hand up on my hip every now and then, but now I've realized I have to create a new habit to force myself not to do it. So
I'll play
also
with you in a tournament when you fix those habits.
My paddle was a bit low. So my ready position now is bringing my paddle up, and I'm just putting my second hand on my paddle, period.
Just locked in,
because
baby.
if I let it go, it's just gonna fade right down to my hip. So I'm just putting it here, and then if I need to pull it off, obviously to hit a one-hander, it's not that hard. So I'm kind of like loosely let it hang here. I'm telling myself that, drill it in my head, get in there, and it helps because I've also been building my two-hander. My two-hand return now is like, it feels way better than it used to. I feel totally comfortable, but I am still building in drops, dinks, and now counters, which I never had before, two hands. So for me, just keeping my hand on the paddles forcing me to just lock in. So that's been my main thing. And of course, hitting dinks in front of me. Don't be lazy. Take another step, and also make sure that you are in the correct position laterally within the court or within your box, depending on where the ball is on their side, will help you so that you don't have to take 3 giant steps to the right because you were pinching middle too much in the first place. And yeah, that's made a big difference in my forehand dinks. I'm able to put more offense and more spin whenever I'm hitting the ball in front of me versus like reaching out wide and trying to do this, outside of your body kind of slice thing.
Yeah.
So those are my things, and they have been my things for weeks, and they probably still will be. And it's going to be a bit before I build new habits, but I'm trying.
So, not a new week, new gain. So my net gains this week is I'm working on a couple things. Most importantly, my right side positioning. Louis is going to be playing on the left.
I like to hear it.
Obviously, Louis is a much stronger player than me. And more importantly, he's more consistent than me. But he is kind of my ideal left-sided partner. Like, if whoever's playing on the left, I want them to just suck it all up. If it's in the middle, be big, be confident. You can have it. You can have as much as you want or as little as you want. I'm totally fine with that. But I'll prefer you, and I'm going to give you the middle. But I did find in a couple of gameplays that I was cramming. Sorry, I was a little too close to him. I was pinching middle a little too much on a couple of middle shots where I should have just scooted over.
You and I both do this so bad.
Yeah, and I'm shading over a touch too much when I'm in a cross court pattern on the right side, cross court and digging pattern. So I need to maybe half step shade over instead of a full step shade over, just so I'm giving them the space to take it out of the air, or I'm not getting beat down the line because I'm over so far. It's just kind of a bad habit that I need to make sure I'm getting. But 2 things just very quickly that I'm working on in terms of technique wise is my counters as well as my speed ups. I've been noticing that my counters and blocks. My counters on people's speed ups, I'm kind of favoring too much on my 2-hand backhand, and that's getting me in trouble. Anytime they go crossbody, I'm toast, because I'm just locked in that. Like, I'm cocked and ready to go. So I need to be a little bit more neutral with that. And then blocks, can never be too good at blocks, man. Especially in today's age, everybody's driving. So, got to be better at blocks, man. I'm getting better, but,
That's good.
Could never be too good. Could never be too good. That's been something I've been working on for months. So, anyway, thank you for attending Net Gains. Now we're going to move on to everybody's actual favorite section.
You say this every segment.
NERDTOWN, baby. Mayor.
Choo-choo.
Take us. Let's go. I'm going to sit back and enjoy the ride.
And maybe yawn a few times. Yeah. So today I want to talk about what is not a new tech, but polypropylene honeycomb core, what we've been using for years, right? The reason why I want to talk about it, the reason why I want to talk about it is because here's what I'm expecting to happen. Companies are about to come out with these full foam cores. You're going to see more and more of them this year, and that's a good thing. I'm here for the innovation. I'm excited for it. I think there's a lot of potential with full foam cores, but I think what you're going to see in the marketing is kind of a demonization of honeycomb, or maybe demonization is way too strong of a word, but people are going to talk about all the flaws of it. And I actually want to kind of correct and or address some of those. So it's not actually a bad material at all, even for the purpose of building paddles. And that's what you're going to hear. People are going to be like, yeah, we need to go to foam because honeycomb is just a trash material for this. No, it's not. People have been building honeycomb panels, which essentially is honeycomb in the middle and then, composite surface on either side, for decades. And in a lot of industries, literal boats are built out of it, and imagine what they have to withstand. So it's not weak. It just needs to be used correctly. And that has been the problem within pickleball. The material itself hasn't been the problem. The manufacturing has been the problem. Mainly tolerances. So it's, once you get into thermoforming, right, the tolerances become very important because the thickness of the honeycomb, the tolerance can be like plus or minus half a mil sometimes. That's really high. The better factories will have lower tolerance than that. But you can imagine that if you have that much variance in the thickness, right, up to half a mil variance, and then you also have different face layups, depending on if you're using a woven face or just carbon fiber or maybe a thinner fiberglass or, all these different things, then now you're looking at the full sandwich varying by quite a bit. And when you put these into thermoforming molds, those are essentially aluminum molds that have a very exact tolerance because it's metal machined, right? Mm-hmm. And they can be exactly 16 millimeters or 16.4 millimeters. And if you have all that variance in the different materials, it's very easy to see how, we accidentally got a thick core on this one and we have a pretty thick layup. And so now this one's going to get smushed down. And then guess what happens? It gets core crushed, right? And that's the problem. Whenever you look at a pristine, perfect core, it's actually very strong. It has very good compressive strength for the weight. It's as soon as it gets compromised or crushed or bent that becomes a problem. And the analogy that has been used on this podcast and others have said it too is imagine like a soda can. If it's just sitting on the ground, you or I mean, like a grown adult can stand on it. If you just put your foot on it and gently stand up, you can stand on it. It will completely hold your weight, right? And now imagine you're standing on it and someone walks over and just thumps the side. It's going to immediately crush and it loses all of its structural, stability there. So I have a core here. I'll kind of show you guys if we can get it to focus. This is, what we call a healthy core. You can see the lines here. What you want is for those to be perfectly vertical with no squiggles, no wiggles at all. And that is your soda can that's not crushed. So when it's in this state, look, even with this paddle cut, I can't squeeze this. I'm trying as hard as I can, and I cannot compress it. So it has actually very good compressive strength. But I can tell you from experience that if this core had some kinks in it, if it was a little bit overcompressed, I would be able to push it and it would squish in. So that's when the problem becomes. So all this to say is that polypropylene honeycomb actually is a good material specifically for building paddles and building panels. It has great compressive strength. It doesn't have great shear strength, so in this direction, but that doesn't matter because what instance is a paddle being, kind of sheared like this? It's basically never is. All the hits are, directly. But the manufacturing is what needs to be cleaned up. And all these years later, I'm still shocked because we know what core crush is. The factory should know what core crush is. And sure, it's been, mitigated quite a bit, but it has not been completely eliminated. And I still have conversations regularly with brands and or factories who are coming off essentially clueless about the fact that they can overcompress honeycomb and compromise it if they don't pay attention to the tolerances and just understand what's going on. And when I say pay attention to tolerances, that may mean changing the mold thickness, that may mean changing the way that you order, or just checking the freaking material that you get from the supplier and making the appropriate changes, because there are ways to adjust different parts of the process in order to, keep the integrity of the core. So, yeah, a little bit boring today, but I kind of wanted to preempt this because we'll see. In a couple months, I bet you we're going to see a lot of marketing about how honeycomb's a trash material. We need to go to foam. It's so bad. It's so weak. It's, it's not strong. Okay. It is. You just don't know how to use it. Or you're going to try to use that kind of fake marketing to hype up foam, which again, I'll say I'm not against foam. I think there's a ton of potential, and it also needs to be used correctly.
Yep.
All right. That's it.
Yep. One other thing too that can affect the mold and core compressing is adding layers too. I know you know that, but you didn't touch on that. That's just another thing. Yeah. So very interesting. And yeah, I've heard you say many times about how many manufacturers have been like, oh, my cores are crushed. I don't know why. Yeah. Anyway. All right, guys.
I had this first conversation with the factory, just to let everybody know. I figured this out and had the first conversation with the factory about, hey, you need to pay attention to the tolerances and not over compress the core in October 2023. And so now it's a year and a half almost later. And I still have the same conversation and people act like they're hearing it for the first time. And of course, it's not just me. A lot of people in the industry understand and know this now. So how does everyone not know this, Or are they just playing dumb because it would take a few extra steps to check it and do it right?
Yeah, that's it right there. All right, man. Anything else before we sign off?
No, I think this is a 2-hour podcast. So
1 hour and 17 minutes, big dog.
Not bad.
Not too bad. Pretty normal. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to the Pickleball Pursuit podcast. I'm your host, Lewis, with Pickleball Pursuit, here with my co-host, Justin from Pickleball, etc. We will see you guys on the next one. If you have any questions, don't forget to drop them in the comment section below. Peace.